Hi friends, welcome to Krako's video series. A lot of students have been asking, ma'am, I'm trying to start my preparation. There are like 300 days to CAT. So how do I start my preparation? What should I start with? What should be the first subjects that I do? So in this particular video, I'll be covering the strategy. If you have 300 days in hand, and that's a very good situation to be in, when you have so much time in your hands, if you use it right, you will definitely crack the exam. You will go into your dream college. If you waste all of this time, then you will suffer and you will regret it later. So through this video, I want to tell you how to make the best use of these 300 days. So let's get started. So firstly, I want to tell you that before you start your preparation, the first most important thing that you should do, and a lot of students don't do this, is diagnose. You have to essentially tell where do I start my preparation? At what level do I start my preparation? Think of it in this way, okay? That this is the journey that you have to start, and this is the summit, this is the end point that you have to reach. Okay, now a lot of people feel that okay, everybody starts from here, and when you were starting your preparation for 10th standard, 12th standard, any other school preparation, that was true. But this is not true for CAT. Why is this not true for CAT? Because people are coming from very different electives. They are, some are students are from commerce, some are from engineering, some are from arts. They have very different levels of understanding and very different starting points. So while some would start from here, some would start from here, some would start from here, and for many the path would not be the same also. The path would also be entirely different. So the first thing that you have to do is diagnose where you stand, because depending on where you stand, you have to essentially have different strategies. So I first say that the first part, when you are starting your preparation, you start with the diagnosis. How do you diagnose where you stand? You have to take a zero prep mock. Zero prep mock basically means that with no preparation, where do you stand? How many questions are you able to solve with zero preparation? Now the idea of giving exam on the first day without preparation might a shock a lot of you, might scare a lot of you. But I want you to firstly get into this mindset that the mock scores do not matter, that you should not be afraid of taking a mock. This is not important just for the zero prep mock, but in all CAT preparation, I want you to have that attitude that mock scores don't matter, that I should not be afraid of taking a mock, because a mock is like basically like a blood pressure test or a blood sugar test. If you have somebody, a parent or a grandparent, and you tell them that get your blood sugar tested, and they say no, I don't want to get tested because I'm worried about the results, what will you say? That you should definitely get tested, right? Because if you're worried about the results, you should definitely know how, where you stand. The result don't doesn't matter. If you don't know the result, it doesn't mean that you don't have sugar, right? So similarly over here, the mock result itself doesn't matter. What it tells you about your level of preparation, that is what matters. So you should definitely start, and you should treat it like a blood sugar test, because it is basically telling you where the problem is. Is there a problem, or is there not a problem? And knowing that you have something that you have to work on is always better than being like living in delusion. So I would always say that never ever be afraid of taking a mock, not at the start, not in the middle, not near the end also. Always be very very confident about mocks, because if you have a completely messed up mock also, that is fine. I recently talked to a lot of CAT toppers, and they said that before, like a couple of weeks before they took CAT, okay, this is somebody who got 99.99 percentile. A couple of weeks before he took CAT, he got like negative marks in LRDI section, and he got so scared that he didn't want to take mocks anymore. But you have to overcome that. It happens to even toppers, okay? They get negative marks in certain sections. It happens to everybody. But you have to remember one very important thing in this entire journey that you might possibly take with us. Do not be afraid of taking mocks. And the first thing is that start with taking a mock. Take a zero prep mock. A mock is basically a practice test. Now, what should you take? What should you start off with? I would recommend taking any slot from CAT 2024 previous year's paper. If you go to Krakow.in, you go to previous year's paper, CAT 2024, you can take any slot, slot 1, slot 2 or slot 3 in the mock format. I say that take any one of these three in the mock format. Why CAT 2024? Because it was the easiest CAT in CAT history. If you consider 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023 were all difficult. 2023 was the hardest. 2024 is like the easiest CAT ever. And then you have 2025, which is again pretty hard. So I would say that start with the easiest CAT. It is not trivially easy. It is not the simplest or like the most easiest, but it is sufficiently difficult for you to actually gauge where your starting position is. So I want you to take any slot of CAT 2024 as a mock. You should basically in Kraku.in, it's not just PDF. You can download the PDF, but you can take it in the mock format also. And I would urge all of you to take it in the mock format. Take 2 hours out at the start of your preparation and take this in the mock format. It will give you a lot of insight into the exam. Immediately after the end of the exam, you will understand exactly what kind of questions are asked, what is time pressure, how much time do you have, what is the scoring mechanism, what are the subjects being asked. You will understand everything in those 2 hours. It will be basically you are being thrown into the water and you will suddenly know what exactly is required to swim. So I would always say that start with this zero prep mock because you will get a very good idea and take it in the test format. Be very vigilant. You have to finish it in 2 hours and don't take it like download the PDF. All of that is not good. You should take it in the test format because that is the right way in which you can consider like how exactly am I doing in this particular test. Okay. I will ask you to take it again later on, but for your zero prep mock, start with zero prep and take any slot of CAT 2024 in the test format. Okay. Now, once you have done that, what do you do with it? How do you even analyze it? What would you consider a decent score, not a good score, etc.? So, firstly, the idea of this is to figure out where you stand. Are you starting from here, here, or here? It would basically change the strategy that you have to employ. Now, suppose after taking the zero prep mock, you get your scorecard. There are like in quant, there are 22 questions. Okay. If you're able to do 5 out of those 22 questions, any 5, okay, if you're able to do 5 out of the 22 questions, I would say that you're decent in quant. Your quant is not a huge problem for you. You might say, ma'am, I have not even started my preparation. How will I do 5 out of the 22 questions? Remember, in CAT, the portion is of 10 standard level. So if you have done 10 standard, somewhere in the back of your mind, you know how to solve these questions. They are time, speed, distance questions, time and work questions, simple ratio proportion questions. You can solve it. So I would say that try to solve it. If you're able to solve more than 5 questions, 5 or more questions, then you are decent in quant. So quant, in that case, quant will not be a big worry. In the case that you are able to solve less than 5 questions, then you say that, okay, if I'm able to solve less than 5 questions, then quant is a difficulty for me. I have to improve in quant. DILR, I would say anything is okay. Even if you get zero is okay. Most of the cases, everybody starts with near zero in DILR. It is kind of a topic where everybody is scared. If you have taken CAT, you're scared. If you have never taken CAT, you're scared. If you have taken CAT 10 years also, you're scared. I am scared. Maruti is petrified of DILR. So I will tell you that even if you get zero over here, it is completely fine. Don't worry about it at all. Do not read anything into it because it happens to everybody. VRC, if you're able to do 8 or more questions, then you're decent in VRC. If you're able to solve less than 8 questions, then VRC would be something that you have difficulty in. Okay. So what I want you to say is that I'm going to do all of this if I feel that both quant and VRC are weak for me. Okay, I'm finding difficulty in doing both quant and VRC. Then I'm starting from here and I need 4 hours of work per day. Okay. If I am able to do one of these two, at least VRC or quant, then I have to put special focus, special attention on one of the other ones. So if I'm good at quant, I have to work very hard on VRC. If I'm good at VRC, I have to work very hard on quant. In that case, 3 hours a day is fine. Okay. And in case you're good at both of these, both quant and VRC were okay, you didn't have any big trouble as such, then 2 hours a day is fine. Over here, that extra hour that you have to put at 3 hours a day has to be at the weak area. 2 hours a day is fine. It is sufficient for students who are already decent. 2 hours a day is also sufficient for anybody who is repeating and who already has some good sense of all of these topics. But if you're starting off, you are weak in both of these topics. Even if you're repeating and you're not able to solve 8 questions over here and you're not able to solve 5 questions over here, I would say that start with 4 hours a day. You need that extra time to really catch up and traverse the same journey, the same distance as the guys who are already decent. I would say that it doesn't matter where the starting point is, your commitment and your consistency matter. So, somebody who is starting from here and is inconsistent will not reach the summit. Somebody who is starting from here but is dedicated and consistent will reach the summit. So, it doesn't matter where you start off from, but I want to see consistency and I want you to put in as much time, as much hard work as possible. So, the first thing that you have to do is figure out between these two, where do you stand? Are you decent at them? Are you weak at one of them? Or are you weak at both of them? It is completely fine if you are weak at both of them. You should not consider this as a sign that I can't do this or I am like very weak, because everybody has to start somewhere. Nobody is going to start at any, like suddenly nobody's going to like jump onto the like directly at the summit, right? Everybody has to start from somewhere. I'll tell you why some people are already over here and why you are here. Okay, if you're somebody who has a reading habit, who has been reading for years together, you will find this easy to do because most of the questions over here are reading comprehension. These are questions based on passages, and if you have a reading habit, it is very easy to answer the questions. Other kind of questions are basically for quant, who would already be decent at quant. Anybody who has done JE preparations like seriously, or has done any kind of aptitude entrance exam seriously at some point of time in their life, okay, either JE or some competitive exam you have done very very seriously till now, okay, even like the scholarship exams, KVPY, NTS, any of them, if you have done very very seriously, right, you would have experience of solving these kind of questions. And for them, they are not starting at the base of the mountain, they are already starting from here. So essentially, for anybody who has done work previously, it's not wasted. It will come in like handy either over here or here. If you have read every single day, it will help over here. If you have solved questions from competitive exams before, it will help over here. If you have done neither, you just have to work harder because you are now catching up to something that people have already done. But it is fine. You are going to work hard from now on. Okay. Now let's go after this diagnosis is done. Okay, let's go to the order of importance. We know that in CAT, it's important to do well in all three sections. It's not like, okay, I'll do well only in one section and I'll mess up the other two sections. You have to do well in all three sections. But having said that, you need not do well in every single part of the section. So, for example, consider quant, okay? There are 22 questions in quant. You have 40 minutes for these 22 questions. Then you have verbal, there are 24 questions, again 40 minutes. LRDI, you have 22 questions and again 40 minutes. These are the topics in each of these sections. In quant, you have arithmetic, algebra, geometry, number systems, modern maths. Is it equally represented? Is it like one fifth, one fifth, one fifth? No. Arithmetic is 5 to 7 questions. Algebra is another 4 to 6 questions. Geometry is 3 questions, number systems is 2 to 3 questions, and modern maths is remaining. This is 9, 12, 14. So this would be sorry, 13, 16, 19. So 3 to 5 questions max. Okay, 3 to 5 questions of modern maths will be there. Okay. So what exactly am I saying over here? I'm saying that most important questions are over here, that if you have arithmetic and algebra, it is 13 questions that are already out of 22 questions. Basically, these two topics are a huge part of CAT. Now, you might say that, okay, 13 questions is not enough. I have to do all 22 questions. See, all 22 and 22 questions are done by the 100 percentilers. If you're looking at 99.95 percentilers, they are doing something like 18 questions. Looking at 99.9 percentilers, they are doing something like 14 questions. 99 point like 98 percentilers, they are doing like 12, 13 questions. So nobody is really doing 22 on 22 other than the complete toppers. If you're somebody who wants to get say 99.7 percentile plus, how many questions do you realistically need to do? If you try to do 16 and all 16 of them are right, you will comfortably get to 99.6. So what I'm trying to say over here is not that all of these questions are not important. I'm trying to say is that you don't need to do everything to the same level. It's not like your 12th standard exam ki iska 3 marks ka question aayega, usse itna marks ka question aayega. No. You are having limited time. The real difficulty is not in solving. The real difficulty is solving it in 40 minutes, which very few people are able to do. So in those 40 minutes, you have to choose which questions you are going to be able to solve. Choose which questions you are strong in. So you have to become very, very, very strong in certain topics. And even if you are not to that level in other topics is fine, because you are choosing to become very, very strong in a particular topic. It's like you are a race runner, okay? You run races. But a person who races, okay, who's an athlete, is not good at all types of races. There are people who specialize in 100 meter, there are people who specialize in 200 meters, there are people who specialize in longer distances. The guys who run 100 meters many times are able to run 200 meters also. But the guys who run marathons don't run 100 meters. So there is overlapping abilities, but people specialize in certain things. So over here also, many people choose to do very well in certain subjects, and many people also choose to leave certain subjects that they are not that very good at. So there are some people who say that, okay, there are 3 questions from geometry. Geometry is a huge portion. I might not do it. But if you're somebody who is actually very good at geometry, if you're a marathon runner and you say that I will not run the longer races, you will suffer. So you have to also understand where you are actually good at. Okay, what would be something that you should definitely do and what you should not do. I'll tell you one thing that you should definitely do, which is non-negotiable, is this arithmetic. Okay, why arithmetic? Because firstly, a lot of questions come from it. There are like 5 to 7 questions, and many of those questions are the easiest questions. If I say out of these 22, if I say 5 questions were easy, 4 of those 5 easy questions would be from arithmetic. That one easy question might be from, like, say, algebra or number systems or modern maths. But most of the easy questions that are there in the paper will be from arithmetic. There might be some tough arithmetic questions also, but many of the doable questions are from arithmetic. You should never leave arithmetic. You should do very, very well in arithmetic. It is the topic you should specialize in. You should be very, very good at that. Similarly, at least one of algebra and geometry you should be good at. I would always suggest algebra over geometry, because algebra, for a couple of reasons, algebra is sometimes linked to arithmetic. Some of the time, speed, distance, and time and work questions involve quadratic equations at times. So if you are weak at algebra, it will also have knock-on effects on arithmetic. Secondly, algebra has more questions. So I would always say that if you are to do at least better in one of algebra and geometry, choose algebra. But I would suggest at this point of time, because you have 300 days, okay, it's a lot of time, okay, it is sufficient time to do well in all of them. But I want you to keep it in the back of your mind that you should be excellent, excellent without any fault in arithmetic, and you should be pretty good in algebra and geometry. If you have any deficiencies, if they are over here, they don't matter that much. But if you have any deficiencies over here, it will make a huge difference. Okay. Same with VRC. What is the most important topic in VRC? The most important topic in VRC is reading comprehensions. Of these 24 questions, 16 questions are from RC. The remaining 8 are from here. So what should you specialize in? What should you do very, very, very well? You should do RCs very, very well. I know a lot of students who prioritize VA, but they get stuck in their 20s because VA firstly is not very reliable, and secondly, you cannot do well in VRC. If you suffer in RC, your entire section will suffer, because RC is super important for VRC. So you have to specialize over here. Now let's come to LRDI. The LRDI basically looks like completely random. What is this? There is no rhyme or reason. What kind of questions are there? In quant, there is a very clear syllabus. Okay, there is like arithmetic, there is geometry, there is algebra. But here it is completely random. What is exactly over here? But I'll tell you one thing. LRDI is not as random as people believe it to be. There are 2 topics which come again and again and which have a very high representation in LRDI. First is puzzles and arrangements. So arrangements includes linear, circular arrangement, or like even have arrangement across levels or arrangement of attributes. But it is essentially arrangement of something. You have to arrange things. Okay. There'll be some clues given and you have to put them in the right order. This is arrangements. Something which is closely related to this is puzzles. So puzzles can be, you can have Einstein's puzzle, which is essentially arrangement of attributes in a way, or quant puzzles. Quant puzzles is basically arrangement where there is additional information given, where like you're given that okay, there are prime numbers or there are factors or there is some information given which is quantitative of nature. So there'll be APGP concepts, there'll be like prime number concepts, etc., etc. The clues are quantitative in nature, but the concept remains of arrangement and puzzles as such. These together are the most commonly asked questions, most commonly asked questions. If you do well in this, right, I would say that you can definitely do 1 to 2 sets in every single year, just puzzles and arrangements. Then you have the second most common, which is tables and charts. Tables and charts includes, you have table with missing values, a favorite, comes every year, came in 2025 also. Charts, you have charts which you have to convert to tables and then interpret them, comes almost every year. So every year out of the 5 sets, these 22 questions are across five sets, you will have at least one charts question and one table based set. What happens over here is that it's not completely random. Tables, charts, puzzles, arrangements are at least 3 out of the 5 sets. Maybe even 4 out of the 5 sets are from this. The remaining are once in a while represented. But these are the major concepts. They are the majority sets that are asked. And how many of these sets can you realistically solve? In an easy year, people can solve all 5 sets, the toppers, the 100 percentilers. In an easy year, the 99 percentiler will solve 4 sets. The 97 percentiler will solve 3 sets. Actually, 3 sets is close to 99 percentile. The 99.5 percentiler in this section will solve 4 sets. 99 percentiler will solve 3 sets. And 2 sets is basically 97 percentile. One set is near 80 percentile, which means that very few people are able to solve all sets that are there. If you're able to solve 3 sets out of 5, it is very good, very good. When it is a tough year, okay, tough year, 99 percentile people can solve only up to 2 sets. 99.9 percentile can solve up to 3 sets. This is for this section only. I'm not talking general. Remember, if you are able to hit 99 percentile in all 3 sections, your overall percentile will be 99.9. So if you get 99 percentile in this section, and this section, your overall percentile will be 99.9. Because if you see a majority of students, they are good at one section or 2 sections and they are weaker in the others. So even if they perform well in one section, their overall is not that great. If you perform consistently in all 3 sections you hit 99 percentile, your overall will be much higher than all of the other guys. If you want to hit like 99 percentile over here and 99.9 percentile overall, 2 to 3 sets would be enough. 2 sets in a harder year, 3 sets in a easier year. 4 sets in a trivially easy year. If you see CAT 2024, it was actually a very easy year where many people were able to do up to 4 sets. But what I would say is that you are not expected to do all 5 sets, which means that you are going to have choice. You have to choose which to do. Again, over here, choice matters very much. It makes a huge difference. If you choose a set which is doable, which is easy, and all of the 5 sets are not at the same difficulty level, this is basically where fate and luck comes in, that some sets are easier, some sets are harder. So you also have to have this sense of what is a easy set, what is a hard set. That comes with experience, that comes with solving a lot of mocks, solving a lot of tests. Then you get this judgment of the difficulty level of a given set. But what I would say is that you are expected to solve 3 sets which are on the easier side. If you do these two parts properly, if you specialize in these two parts, you are guaranteed, nearly guaranteed 3 out of the 5 sets. So what do you have to do over here? You have to do these very well, and the remaining you should do at least a little bit. You should know how to solve them, but you need not specialize in them. Okay, so these you have to specialize in them. These you should know well, but not that well also. Again, you have 300 days, so you can do, if you have the time, you can do all of them very well. You can specialize in all of them. But this I want you to do to a different level. I want you to do to a level where you are super confident of them. Okay, so this arithmetic, reading comprehension, puzzles, arrangements, tables and charts, I want all of you to become experts in them. I want you to specialize in them. I want you to be 100% confident that if anything comes from this, I'll be able to solve. Okay. Okay. Depth versus breadth. So, what is exactly depth versus breadth? See, a lot of people, when they start their CAT preparation, they feel that I have to cover the entire syllabus. I know that because I was one of you guys when I did my CAT the first time. My whole like thinking was that I have to cover the syllabus. I was before the first before my first attempt, I was revising the syllabus, I was revising formulae, I was just seeing the text, I was seeing no books as such. But that is not what is needed over here. So CAT is not a knowledge based exam. So what are knowledge based exams? Consider the knowledge based exams. They are your 10th UG exams, your 10th, 12th exams are knowledge based exams. Why are they knowledge based exams? You go, you mug up, you spit it out. You basically regurgitate whatever you have mugged up in the exam. There are 5 marks questions, you know 5 points I have to write, you write them and you come back. Which basically means that you have to remember as much as possible. Remember everything and regurgitate it onto the paper. But CAT is not like that. CAT is a skill based exam. What is a skill based exam? Here, the loop is not just learn. The loop is learn, practice, test, and then you have the final ability to do it. Here it is just learn. Learn and directly final. Right, the final. So you can see that there are multiple steps involved over here, right? Why are they? Think of it in the way that suppose you are a carpenter and you're making a chair. Would you make the chair well for the first time you are making a chair? Would it be good? No, because your hand is not set on how to do things. You have to slowly learn, right? Whenever there's a skill involved, people become very skillful after they have spent a few hours at it because their hand gets set. You are cooking for the first time you cook it, the food will taste awful. When you are doing any skill based thing, right? You have to do that thing again and again and again till your muscle gets memory and then you will do it well. CAT is like a skill based exam. It is not about learning, it is not about knowledge, it is not about mugging up. Because no matter how much you have mugged up the formulae, it will not help you answer the questions. You will not remember how to answer the questions. Basically, the way you crack CAT is you read the formulae, you know how to apply the formula, you know the theorem, but you solve 100 questions using the theorem. The 101st question will be muscle memory. And once it becomes muscle memory, then you will be able to solve it in the real paper. Because the time you have 40 minutes and the time it takes for you to read the question, understand the question, and solve the question has to be 3 minutes. 3 minutes in which you have to read the question, understand the question, and solve it and mark the correct answer. This is not possible if you are thinking there for the first time. Okay, it is not regurgitating things because you are supposed to have that kind of muscle memory where your like hands know how to solve time speed distance questions. You have to essentially solve hundreds of questions of each topic. You have to say that each topic that I learn, I'm going to solve 100 questions. Then you will be able to do well in the real exam, which basically means that if you just sit and read all the formulae, how many questions will you be able to solve? Zero. If you know every single concept, if you know every single formula, how many questions will you be able to solve? Zero. This has nothing to do with knowledge. It has everything to do with practice. Unless you practice questions, you will not be able to solve them correctly. RCs has no preparation. RC, the passage is given over there. On that, you have to answer the questions that are there. How do you know how to answer the reading comprehension questions? To practice. The LRDI sets are often a complete surprise. They are variations of known patterns, but puzzles are completely different from anything that you have seen before. So, how do you know how to solve it there? You have solved something similar hundreds of times, so this is something that you can solve. So, always remember in CAT, knowing the formula will help you in no way. It will give you exactly 0 marks. If you mug up the syllabus, mug up every single concept formula that is there, you will get 0 marks. You have to solve a lot of questions and then you will be able to solve actual questions in the exam. This is a skill based test. It's like you're a carpenter. After you make like 10 chairs, the 11th chair will be a good one. The first 10 chairs will be wobbly and horrible looking. The 11th chair will be a good one. Similarly, over here, the first 10, 15 marks that you take will be terrible. You will do poorly, but the actual exam will be better because of the experience of those 10, 15 marks. Okay, so I want you to like take it inside you that this is a skill based exam. Here knowledge is not being tested, here skills are being tested. So if you are asked, there is 1 month left to cat, what should you do? Should you read up all the formulas again, you should revise all the formulas again, or should you solve thousands of questions? Which one would you choose? You to solve thousands of questions. I didn't realize before my first attempt, I made a mistake over there. But after my first attempt, I realized that knowing the formula was not helping me at all. I had to solve thousands of questions before I would be able to do it in the actual exam. So remember this, this is a skill based exam. What you have to do before you give the exam, solve thousands of questions, solve hundreds of RC sets, solve hundreds of LRDI sets. Then you can sit there on exam day and solve it in the paper. Okay. Now, over here, if this is a skill-based exam and not a knowledge-based exam, how should you prepare for it? If this is your syllabus, okay? These are the 5 things that are there in your syllabus. Okay? You have arithmetic, algebra, geometry, number systems, and modern maths. How should you prepare for it? Should you just revise everything? Cover 100% coverage. I just told you that reading it will be useless. Reading without applying is useless over here. So what should you do? If I was covering this syllabus, I would not cover the entire 100% of the syllabus at all equal level. When I was doing 10th and 12th, that was my whole goal, right? Even in your UG exam, you're like, chapter hua ki nahi hua, and your whole focus is ki chapter complete hona chahiye. All book complete hona chahiye. That's all that you just care about 100% syllabus coverage. But here 100% syllabus coverage means nothing because you can do it in 2 days. Here, what you have to basically do is that for each of the topic, you have to go deep. So if I say arithmetic, arithmetic has say averages, ratio and proportion. You start by learning the concepts. Then you solve the concept tests that are there to understand whether you understood the concept or not. After that, you do some practice questions. After that, you do some more questions from mocks and tests, sectionals. Then you realize that, okay, I'm able to know the concept. I know the concept. I can solve the concept test also. If the concept is just told to me and asked that, okay, this is a test on averages, ratio and proportion. Averages, I've just learned the concept, I'm able to solve the question. You will go over here, maybe over here also. Once you start solving practice questions, you will find it tough over here. This will take you some time, okay? For you to do this, you will have to like do it multiple times. Then you will do it well. Then you will go to mock and sectionals. In mock and sectional, you will be like, I'm able to solve this question, but when I have the timer ticking down, I'm not able to solve it. So again, you will say that, okay, I'm not able to do it here. Again, you will go back to practice. I'll say that I'll practice some more. Then maybe I'll try the mock and sectional again. Again, I will struggle over here. Again, I will go back. I will practice some more. Then finally in mocks and sectionals, I'll be able to solve it. So here you can see that it is not like a linear. Okay, I go and learn and sub ho gaya. I've learned all the formula. I will be able to do it because averages, ratio, and proportion you can do it in 1 hour. But getting to here is a matter of months, not even days, months. It will take you months to come over here because it is a skill. You have to learn the concepts, solve few questions, solve more questions, learn how to solve difficult questions, then come to the test. In the test scenario, once the timer is ticking down, right, you're not able to think clearly. Even whatever you have remembered, whatever you know, just evaporates from your mind. Then you are like, I'm able to solve this question if the timer is not on. But once the timer is on, I'm not able to think. Then you will go back, you will practice more questions. Then you will come back again. Again, you will struggle. But this time you will be able to do a few questions. Again, you will go back. You will solve so many practice questions that you don't even have to think. The timer no longer affects you because it will now become muscle memory. You have just solved so many questions of averages, ratio, and proportion. This is similar to something that I have solved. I know exactly how to approach it. I know that I have to do this, then I'll get the answer. You do it and then you will be able to do well in the mocks and sections. So you have to go deep into every section. The job is not done until you are able to solve the questions in mocks and sectionals. Then you can say that averages, ratio and proportion is done. So you start over here, you go deeper, deeper, deeper. In mocks and sectionals, the minute you are able to solve all questions from averages, ratio and proportion, you can say that yes, I am capable of doing it. This is done. So the search or the ability is depth. You go deep, and when you reach finally mocks and sectionals level, then you can come back and go to the next topic. So then you do this for all of arithmetic. All of arithmetic, you go deep into all of arithmetic till the point that those 5 to 7 questions that are there in every mock and sectional, you are able to do it. Once you are able to do in arithmetic the questions of arithmetic, then you can come back and then go to algebra. Go deep into algebra such that you are able to do the questions of algebra in the paper. Then come back, go to geometry. If you do the superficial level and then from arithmetic you go to algebra, do superficial level, from algebra go to geometry, you will suffer because the until you are able to do that question in the mock, in the section, you have not learned it. Okay, remember, depth matters more than breadth. Okay. Okay. So for those who are trying to you make the best use of these 300 days, we have a batch which is coming up. So we have a 300-day intensive batch. It starts from 2nd of February. We have exactly, like if you count, we have like 300 days till the expected CAT exam day. So we have launched a batch specifically for that. So it starts from 2nd of February, which is a Monday. What is included in this batch? So what we make sure is that your syllabus is covered firstly by having videos. So you will have more than 200 videos that are there. But videos are not enough. Clearly, you need to solve a lot of questions. In addition to that, we have daily live classes Monday to Saturday. For 2 hours, we have live classes. Basically, from 7:30 to 8:30, we have the foundational class for students who are just starting. And from 8:30 to 9:30, we have the advanced class. So basically, what are we doing? We are making sure that you get a lot of practice also while learning, because you can see the video by yourself, but you will not learn. By seeing the live session, by being in the live session with us, we'll be solving these questions with you. We'll be making sure that we walk at least some part of the journey, we walk with you so that we tell you how to climb the mountain. So there will be daily live classes Monday to Saturday. And in that live classes, we'll cover everything from the topic, from the concept to a lot of questions. So we'll make sure that you also get a lot of practice of solving with the faculty. There is also one-on-one mentorship. A lot of students basically have a lot of questions of how to prepare, what should be the priority. They have generally a lot of questions which are holding them back, and we realized it was holding them back. So we have basically very high quality CAT mentors who are there to be your guides, to support you, and they are there available over phone. They will we have slots that you can book. Once you have those slots, you can call them, you can ask them for guidance. They can help you figure out where you're going wrong. They can help you put you back on the right path. So we have one-on-one mentorship also. We have weekly revision. We have videos that make sure that you are on the right track. And also we have like a day-wise schedule where the concepts are arranged in a day-wise manner so that it is easy for you to know what work has to be done on a particular day. Otherwise, if I give you the 200 videos, you will feel very overwhelmed. So what I have done is that we have like made a schedule of the videos. So we tell you on this day, see this particular video, and on that same video, on that day, there will be a live class of the same topic. So you see the video, prepare for the live session. On the live session, we'll again explain things and solve a lot of questions along with you. So the idea is that with learning and practice, we'll make sure that you completely understand a given topic. You go deep into a topic, and at least like at the first 3 levels of your preparation of a particular topic are done. Then you just have to do some more practice questions and then direct mocks and sections. Okay. So do take a look at the 300-day intensive batch. If you have any questions, you can message us. You can contact us on this particular number. The batch also has all the materials included. So it also has dashcards included. It also has like sectionals included. It has a huge question bank included. So when I say practice questions, where do you do it from? So we have the best question bank that is there in across CAT, where we give you a very intensive question bank, such that you will never run out of questions. So you want to do like 1,000 questions, like hundreds of RC sets. Where can you do it from? from our question bank, which we call study room. So if you go to the study room, you can do targeted practice. You do a lot of targeted practice, then you can be absolutely certain that you are very, very good at a particular topic. We have also gamified this practice to an extent where we have put something which is called quant rush and verbal rush, where we basically gamify it in such a way that you feel like solving more and more questions. It becomes a bit of a addictive game kind of thing, where students just try to get as high a score as possible, and in that rush to do that many questions, they end up solving like 100 questions before they even realize it. Okay, so we call it quant rush, and a similar thing is there for verbal questions, which is called verbal rush. Okay, so let's go to the course material that are there. So part of this course, whatever is included in the course material, I'll just tell you. See, firstly, the important part that you should know is, but even when you're going deep, right? The first thing is that if I have to dig deep, I need at least a shovel, I need some tools, right? So you have to have the right tools, which is there covered in the concept videos. You have 200 concept videos, which are organized on a day-to-day basis. We'll tell you that see this concept videos. In addition to that, you attend a live session so that it is clear to you that what you have to do. How do you approach a question? How do you learn the concept? How do you even understand a particular question? So this is the learn aspect. This we will help you tremendously. We'll take care of it so that you know exactly how to read questions, how to apply the formulae, you know how to approach questions. The second part, practice and test. This is basically what gets you to the 95 and 99 percentile. If you do just this learn, okay, then you will be able to solve all the easy questions that are there, or easy RCs that are there, or easy LRDI sets that are there, which will get you to about 80 percentile. But I don't want you to like be happy with just 80 percentile. I want you to get to 90, 95 percentile and 99 percentile. How do you get to 95 percentile? The next part is practice. This is basically, there are two ways to practice it. One is a daily habit, which we call daily target. So the daily target are questions which are of exact CAT level, CAT difficulty level. And for a lot of students, this is the part of the day that they do regularly. If you ask anybody who has done tremendously well in CAT, they will tell you that they have done daily target every single day. I know CAT 100 percentiles who have it like a huge history of like streak of doing daily target every day. And again, daily target is also gamified, where a lot of people have that streak. They are very senti about the streak, that they want that streak to be as high as possible. Because of that, they keep solving questions every single day. That every single day there are three exams or three tests to take: one for quant, one for verbal, and one for LRDI. And a lot of students put a lot of effort to make sure that their streak doesn't get broken. Basically, it is like a daily habit of solving, which is very important when it comes to CAT. It will make a huge difference in the number of questions you solve overall. I'll tell you exactly how many questions you have to solve to get to 99.5 percentile, 99.7 percentile, but it's like hundreds of questions. But if you start and try to solve hundreds of questions in one go, it will be difficult. What you should ideally try to do is try to do some questions every single day, and this will help you quite a lot in it, because it will be a daily habit, and before you know it, you would have solved hundreds of questions. The other way to solve questions is the study room, which is our question bank. This is for targeted practice. This will make sure that you do a particular topic well. So if you have learned arithmetic and you have learned and attended the live session, and you want to go deeper into arithmetic, you want to master it, how do you do it? You go to the study room and practice a lot of questions from there. These two together will make sure that you solve the 1,000 questions. The third part, and the part where a lot of students basically falter, because of human psychology, where people don't want to learn bad news, they don't want to actually face, or they don't want to stand up to challenges, which is mocks and sectionals. This part is very, very important, and a lot of people don't do it properly because they have fear of mocks and fear of sectionals. I want you guys to have no fear of mocks, no fear of sectionals. We have 20 dashcat mocks. I want all of you to take every single 20 of them. We have 15 sectionals of each section. So you can put all of them together and say that it is essentially 15 additional mocks. So overall you have 20 plus 15, that is 35 mocks. In addition to this, we have 5 mocks which are the preloaded mocks, which are called head start mocks. So that is another 5, so that is 40 mocks. 40 mocks, there's a reason why we put 40 mocks over here. Okay, if you consider this is 20 plus 15 plus 5. Why did we put 40 mocks? We have found that the number of mocks that most of the toppers have done is around 40. That's why we have put 40 mocks. Because if you do 40 mocks, right, each mock you will at least solve, like, say, 15 questions per section. You will solve a lot of questions. That would mean that how many questions have you solved overall if you have done 40 mocks? Like hundreds of questions right here, right? Questions from here, questions from here. You will have solved hundreds of questions. Then it will become muscle memory. The mocks and sectionals will also make sure that you have that muscle memory in an exam format, because that timer pressure is real. It will change how you look at questions. It will affect your ability to solve questions. To learn to become immune to that timer pressure takes time. It takes a lot of mocks and sectionals essentially for you to become immune to timer pressure. And for you to do that, you need to do at least 40 mocks. So make sure that every single mock that is there, that you solve them. In addition to this 40, we also give another 3, which are the free mocks that we give. So essentially it is 43. Plus there are the previous year's papers which I want you to take in the mock format. So there are 3 slots plus like 7-8 years of mocks that are there. So that is another 24 papers that you can take as mocks. So there is no dearth of mocks. There is basically 67 mocks that you can easily take in this CAT preparation. 67 mocks is much more than what is actually needed. So what I'm essentially suggesting is that there is no reason for you to not take as many mocks as possible, because this platform will give you everything that you need to do as many mocks as are needed. Okay. Now let's go to the month wise schedule. What should you do? What should be your strategy month wise? So from my experience, I know exactly how to prioritize what topics to prioritize, and I want you to keep that in mind, because this would also affect your attempt strategy. It would also affect how many questions you solve. So because I want you to have expertise in arithmetic, I want you to do arithmetic first. So arithmetic, I want you to do 75 questions from each topic in arithmetic. So arithmetic has averages, ratio and proportion, percentages, time, speed, distance, time and work, profit and loss, compound and simple interest. These are the basic topics in quant. These are the easiest topics, and you should do 75 questions of each topic. Then I would say that in that chart of going down, right, you would go till the practice level. Again, for you to be able to go to the mock level, again would take more practice, which I will add in the next months. But the 75 questions will at least get you to the practice question level. Then the next test would be basically being able to solve inside a mock format. Okay. So this is the first thing that I want you to do. This will get you to a decent position, a firm stronghold, at least in arithmetic. And it is very important that you start with arithmetic, because a foothold in arithmetic will mean that you are able to solve at least 5-6 questions. When you started, you were not able to do at least even 5-6 questions, right? Just doing arithmetic will get you to a decent level. After that, I want you to start also with algebra. A lot of people are not comfortable with algebra, but given the fact that you have 300 days, you have enough time to actually get comfortable with algebra. Especially students who are from non-engineering backgrounds are afraid of algebra. I want you to get over it. It is very, very important to become good at algebra, because many times easy questions come from algebra. Algebra sometimes is useful in other topics, like quadratic equations often is useful for arithmetics, etc. So because of that, I want you to become very good at algebra. Okay. So algebra, I would say that start with 50 questions from each topic. So this includes linear equations, quadratic equations, inequalities, and you can also do a little bit of progressions and series. Progressions and series is generally tougher. You can do it later also, but at least linear equations, quadratic equations, which is easier, you should do well in that. And inequalities is tougher, but at least get started on that. Okay. Then you have geometry. I want you to do all 3 of these important topics. These are very heavy important topics, but you have 3 months to do it. So at least try to do arithmetic, algebra and geometry in the first 3 months itself, so that you have a very good start, and do 75 questions from arithmetic from each topic, 50 questions from each topic of algebra, and 50 questions of geometry. Geometry I consider as one topic. At least do 50 questions from geometry. The reason why we have not separated geometry as part of like triangles or circles or something like that is many times triangle concepts come as part of circles, circles come as part of triangles, where you have incircle, circumcircle. So because of that, they are kind of overlapping concepts in many ways. but you can split it up as 2D geometry and 3D geometry and coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry is not that often asked in CAT, so you can keep it for XAT preparation. 2D geometry is like 90% of geometry. Most of the questions that come in geometry are from 2D geometry. 3D geometry, that is like basically solids, mensuration of solids, comes very, very rarely. So you can basically keep it for later. Of the 2D geometry also, triangles and circles are the most important part. Polygons and quadrilaterals also come, but they are slightly less important than triangles and circles. Triangles and circles, you should like go deep into it, and you should be very, very comfortable with all concepts of triangles and circles. There is a lot of theory to cover over here. So at least here, learning will be a longer this. If you consider arithmetic, right? In arithmetic, there aren't that many formulas. You can cover arithmetic formulas in like 2 hours. Algebra also, you can cover most of the concepts in 2-3 hours. Geometry will take you a day. So it is slightly longer in the formulas part, in the aspects, formulas aspect. There is a lot more theory in geometry. So because of that, I've given you fewer questions to do, because geometry theory will take you more time. Okay. So this is what I want you to cover in the first 3 months. When I come to verbal, if you see, I have not done anything, only one thing I'm giving. Okay. RC. Why? Because RC is the make or breaks part of VRC. You do well in RC, right? If you do well in RC, the remaining VA parts are para summary, para completion, OSC parajumbles, and theta parajumbles. Okay. Last year we had 2 from each type. So 2, 2, 2, 2. Total 8 questions from here. If you do well in RC, automatically you will also start doing well over here, because they are overlapping skills. If you do well in parajumbles, you will start doing well in all 3 of them, because they have the overlapping skills. So essentially you have to master 2 skills. One is reading comprehension, the other is unscrambling or unjumbling skill. So 2 skills, first skill which is most important, which is 18 marks, 18 questions out of 24, is the RC skill. So I want you to become very, very good at RC, because that would alone like be enough for you to clear the VRC section. That alone would be enough for you to get to 99 percentile in VRC section. So how do you actually become good at VRC? For somebody who loves reading, this will be a section you don't even have to worry about, because you already are doing something which is fundamental and very important to doing well in the VRC section. If you're reading on a regular basis, you will find this section a breeze. But I know that 90% of the students that appear for CAT do not have a reading habit. They don't read. Why? Because they are busy with their work, they are busy with their undergrad, this. And when I say read, I'm saying read for enjoyment, read for pleasure, not read your undergraduation like books and all. So you have to essentially read for like the sake of knowing more, for information, for like thinking. Okay, read philosophy, read history, read geography, read other things out of interest. And a very few people actually read out of interest. I want you to develop a reading habit. I want you to develop a love for reading. I always believe that whatever you love, you will do well. If you don't like something, it will show. And this is the area where it shows the most. The people who hate reading do very poorly in the VRC section. The people who develop a love for reading will definitely do well in the VRC section, because that interest, that love for reading will hold you in good stead. So the first thing that I want you to do is please develop a reading habit. I want you to read 2 articles every single day. Now, what should you read? So, should you read newspaper articles? No. Newspaper articles are dry articles, in the sense they are completely factual. The way that you should think of reading is that you have to develop comprehension skills. The material that you read should compel you to think. You have to think and understand and read between the lines, then you are reading. So, what kind of articles should you read? You should read essays. You should read essays on topics including anything from humanities. So, arts, so you can say paintings, famous painters, novels, literature, music, anything related to arts. Any essay on arts would be something that you should read. Anything related to like culture, history, politics, uh, sociology, psychology, philosophy. So, all the topics that I'm mentioning over here are under the broader umbrella of humanities. You should develop a interest in all of humanities. If you're an art student, you probably are already reading all of these things. So you have to just continue reading that. You have a massive advantage. But if you are somebody who is from commerce or engineering, you have to start reading today, and you have to read from humanities. So you have to say that I have to read from arts, I have to read from literature, I have to read about museums, I have to read about archaeology, I have to read about ancient Greece, I have to read about ancient Egypt, I have to read about a lot of things I might have never read about. Why? Because I have to develop a reading habit. How and where do you read from? So we have basically realized that a lot of people don't know where to read from. So we basically collate good articles across the internet, and we post good articles in a section on Krakow, which is called Cat Daily Articles. These are not just for our premium students. This is a free resource. So anybody can actually use Cat Daily Articles. I want you to go there every day and read 2 articles. A good habit would be to read 1 article when you're having your breakfast and read 1 article when you're having your lunch. And not just read it out of compulsion, but read with the love of reading. You should love what you're reading. In addition to that, in the first 3 months, I want you to start trying to solve RCs every single day. Try to do 2 RCs every single day so that you will develop this habit of like even reading articles from the express purpose of solving questions. Because reading for love and reading to answer questions is slightly different. But I want you to do both, because the first, that is reading for love, for the love of reading, if you do it, will make the other part more enjoyable. And if you enjoy it, you will do it well. Okay, so this is all that I'm asking you. Read 2 articles every single day and try to do 2 RCs every single day. It is not difficult at all, but do it consistently for a long period of time, and VRC will be a breeze for you. Anybody who has a good reading habit never suffers in VRC. Okay, but if you hate reading, you will suffer over here. So please develop a reading habit. Now, when it comes to LRDI, as I mentioned, these are the most important things to do: puzzles, arrangements, tables, and charts. You want to start with doing 20 sets of each. I want you to start with the easier sets and slowly get to harder sets. If you go to Krakow study room, you will basically, initially the sets that you get will be easier sets. Our study room is adaptive in nature. So once you are able to solve easier sets, it will give you harder questions, more and more harder questions. If you're not able to solve them, again, the level will dip to easier questions. So I want you to start doing 20 sets of each. But in addition to that, what I would say is that you need that skill of unjumbling things or arranging things. And you also need the skill of reading tables and filling in missing values in tables. So how do you actually learn how to the skill of filling in missing value in tables? Learn how to do Sudoku. This will help you quite a bit in knowing how to fill table based sets, table with missing values. Because that idea that, okay, there are 9 numbers in this row and in this column, and I have to fill 1 to 9, that understanding is like inbuilt into Sudoku, that there are missing numbers over here that I have to fill. You do a lot of Sudoku, right? Table based sets, especially table with missing values, will become very easy for you. Similarly, for arrangements and puzzles, I know that it's not available now, but there is a game which is called Inspector Parker. These are all free resources. These are apart from the ones that we have at Krakow. But these are essentially games, okay? These are games that you can do as fun activity, which will help you in CAT. So this is a game called Inspector Parker, and you can Google search for it. This is a game that I love to like really play, and I think it's a game which is in like a there is some game archive where it is put, where it's in a very old format. So there used to be, in the olden days, you used to have these exe files, and used to have, what is it called, Java, JRE, playable, whatever, executables. So it is like in that olden format. Okay, so you will, if you search for Inspector Parker archive, you will find that archive somewhere where you can load the game and you can play it a couple of times. That is simply, basically, it's like Einstein's puzzle. It is arrangement across levels, arrangement in a line, arrangement across levels, and you will get the sense of how to do arrangement because it is visual. It's a visual game. So this will help you with arrangement and puzzles. Sudoku will help you with tables and charts. But in general, anything of that type, the puzzles type, like Kakuro, all of those things will help you quite a bit in getting an intuitive sense of how to solve these kind of sets. This is an additional, this is your actual coursework. This is something that will be fun for you to do. This is your actual coursework. this is something that I want you to do as additional fun work. Okay. Okay. Now this is for the first 3 months. Months 4 to 6. This is where you get things get serious. You have to become more serious about what your preparation and how your preparation is going. Because in the 4 to 6 month comes the part which is the testing part. It's all fun and games until you have to face your first mock. Then things become very, very serious from that point of time because you suddenly face reality with your first mock. A lot of people avoid mocks. A lot of people try to take mocks from September. Don't do that. It is a huge mistake to take. The first mock should be taken, other than the zero prep mock. Apart from that, the first mock should be taken in April. There's a reason the Dashcat schedule goes live in April because that is when your first mock should be taken. So make sure that you follow the Dashcat schedule. And in addition to the Dashcat schedule, whenever we do, because the Dashcat schedule has a few mocks going in live every alternate weekend. So every other Sunday you would have a Dashcat which goes live. So on the weekends when there is no Dashcat, what should you be doing? You should be doing the previous year's papers in mock format. So you have basically from 2020 onwards, you have different previous year's papers that you can solve: 2020, 2021, 2022, 23, 24, 25. So that is 6 into 3, that is 18 mocks that you can solve and which are in the mock format. Before 2020, the paper format was slightly different. Even those are available. They are also available on Kraku in the mock format. And I would always say that take them for practice. But they are not as good for mock preparation because there was a shift that happened in 2020. Because of COVID, the test authority had to essentially cut the number of people who could take the test at the same time. Because earlier we would have 2 slots, and because we had 2 slots, more people could be jammed together into the exam hall. So because of that, we would have a longer session. We'd have like a 3-hour test. In 2020, they realized that we can't have the same number of people in the same hall together because of the COVID risk. So they decided to, instead of 2 slots, they will have 3 slots. But because they had to have 3 slots, they changed the format. They made the format shorter. Now, if you take a longer format test, it is good practice, but you will not have the same sense of how time pressure is or how tough things are in a 2-hour mock with the 3-hour format or like the 2.5 format. You will not get the same sense. So when I say take it for mock preparation, I'm talking only of the previous year's papers from 2020 onwards. Before 2020, take them for practice, but they are not accurate. They will not accurately represent what exactly happens in a 2-hour test, because in a 2-hour test it is like a scramble. It is a mad scramble. It's like ODIs versus T20. T20 requires a very different strategy. So while ODI is good practice, T20 is different. So similarly over here, the ones that you have to take in mock format have to be 2020 onwards. And remember that when you're taking the mock, it's not just that I take the mock, I see my scorecard and forget about it. You have to do an analysis of the mock. So after the mock is done, you have to see how many questions were you able to solve in each section. What were the questions you were able to solve? Were you able to solve arithmetic? Good. That means that you have made progress over there. Were you able to solve arithmetic questions? No. You have to work harder over there. Were you able to solve geometry questions? Didn't even look at them? Okay, you have to work on that. So again, you have to do this topic-wise analysis. What were you able to solve? Again, you have to also look at not just whether you were able to solve it and not. You are also supposed to look at how much time you took to solve questions. The ideal time per question is somewhere around the 3-hour mark, 3-minute mark. Sorry, not 3-hour mark, 3-minute mark. So if you are taking 5 minutes to solve a question, again that should be a source of worry, that you have to work on it. You have to bring it down to 3 minutes per question. That is the analysis that you have to do. So essentially what you have to do is, after every mock, you sit down with the paper, you attempt every question that you skipped or got wrong. You look at every question where you spent more than 3 minutes and try to identify what went wrong over there, whether there was a more efficient way of solving the question. The same you have to do for RCs and LRDIs. Every type of question that you got wrong in RC, try to figure out what kind of trap or distortion that you fell for. What did you not understand? Did you read the RC passage properly? Did you understand the passage? Okay, if you understood the passage, did you understand the question? Did you fall for a distortion? When you read quickly, sometimes you don't notice something which makes an option wrong and you mark the wrong option. So try to spot what was the error that happened in the RC. Similarly, in LRDI, you should solve not only the LRDIs that you attempted, but also the unattempted LRDIs, you should sit and solve them then. Many times once the mock is over, right, you will find LRDI section to be very easy. But when the mock is going on, LRDI section is the toughest section. The whole thing is that pressure of the timer is such that LRDI in many ways is the toughest section to do under timer pressure. And once the timer pressure is gone, it is super easy to do the same set. So always try to figure out what are you able to do under timer pressure. What type of sets are you able to do under timer pressure and not? What can you improve at? So you have to do that analysis. In-depth analysis is super important after every mock. You have to start taking them regularly from the 4th month onwards. When it comes to the topic coverage, so for quant, you have to cover number systems and modern maths, do 50 questions of each. Now, I want you to start practicing arithmetic, algebra and geometry. They are already done, but you have to start practicing them. I would recommend that you practice using QuantRush. As I mentioned, it is like a gamified version of preparation. It gives you a high whenever you're solving a lot of questions with QuantRush, right? A lot of people end up solving a lot of questions. I want you to do 100 questions of each arithmetic, algebra and geometry. Here the questions are by broader topics. So you will get a mix of questions. So you'll get some linear equations, some quadratic equations, some inequalities, some polynomials, functions, everything you will get. So what will happen is that you will get a lot of mixed practice by topic. And I want you to do 100 questions of arithmetic, 100 questions of algebra, 100 questions of geometry. What will happen is that if you follow this, right, you will see a huge improvement in your mock scores. Because if you finish these 100 questions, you will have much more ability, much more control of what questions you can attempt in the actual mock. You will have much more confidence, you will have muscle memory. So please make sure that you are doing this. This is very important because this will stabilize your mock scores and you will be able to do at least 15 questions out of the 22 questions in mocks. Okay. Then when it comes to verbal, here you have to start with the para summary and para completion. Make sure that you see all the videos, you cover the questions, do the verbal rush, 50 questions of each of them. Again, now you have to come to the para jumbles, OC and theta. This PC is para completion. Sometimes I also call it as para insertion. Here, each one of them do 50 questions. They are kind of overlapping in a way because they are mutually reinforcing. If you know how to unjumble a paragraph, you will be able to figure out where to put the missing sentence. You will also be able to figure out which sentence is out of context. So all three of them, OC, theta and this para completion, test similar skills. So they are mutually reinforcing. So try to do as many of them together as much as possible and practice from them as much as possible because they will reinforce each other. Okay. And in addition to that, I want you to keep up with RCs and articles. You have to do 2 RCs every single day plus 2 articles every single day. If you're already good at it, you can reduce it down to 1 RC plus 1 article. But as I said, this is if you are at 2 hours every single day, you can do 1 RC, 1 article. If you're at 4 hours every single day because you're not good at VRC, you have to keep it at 2 RCs and 2 articles. Okay. Then it comes to when it comes to LRDI, just do the remaining types of LRDI sets other than puzzles, arrangements, tables, charts. Cover them, learn the representation format. So for each type of LRDI set, we teach you the representation format. That is like for scheduling, do this representation. For games and tournaments, do this representation. Learn the representation formats because without it, you will be at 0. So the reason why I said that at 0 prep mock, even if it is 0, it's okay. Because without a representation format, it's very difficult to learn how to solve a question. So make sure that you learn the representation format for every other type of LRDI set that is there and do 15 sets of each type. Basically, this will give you a fairly good idea of what you're actually good at. The idea should be you should know that scheduling I'm able to do, 2D space, 3D space LR puzzles I'm able to do, but games and tournaments is tough for me. You will get a sense of what you're naturally good at, how your brain functions and what is intuitive for you and what is not intuitive for you. That sense is very important because that will help you learn what you should prioritize, what you should specialize in. See, everybody will not be very good at everything. People will be good at certain kinds of things. A lot of people who are visual thinkers are good at 2D LR puzzles, are very good at scheduling because if you're good at drawing, right, you will be very good at scheduling. On the other hand, people who are very sports oriented, who see a lot of, like, say, football, they will find certain games and tournament sets very easy to do. So you have to figure out what way what way your brain works and what is intuitive for you and what is not intuitive for you. That sense should be there. In addition to that, I want you to do 15 sets again of puzzles, tables, charts and arrangements. This is the bread and butter. This will keep you in good stead. You have to do it well, very, very well, because it is 3 out of the 5 sets. Okay. Now this is for the 4 to 6 months. The last 3 months, that is September, October, November. What should you do in September, October, November? Firstly, quant, watch the revision videos. We have revised all the topics, because what you have done long back, you might have forgotten. But I don't want you to go and see the concept videos again. I want you to revise using the revision videos. Now you have to seriously use the targeted practice. You have to continuously solve from the study room. You can either solve from the study room topic wise. So whenever you see that, okay, I was not able to solve some compound and simple interest questions quickly, or I take too much time for compound interest questions, go and solve 50 questions from it. You can go directly to the study room for that. But if you feel that, okay, I'm weak in a particular type of questions, I'm weak in geometry, or I'm weak in algebra, then do quant rush, because that is broader practice. So wherever you feel that, okay, I need broader practice, quant rush will be your friend, and it will also help you like solve a lot of questions quickly. But if you need targeted practice, go to the study room and practice from that particular topic. How do you figure out, do you need targeted practice or practice in general? It comes from mocks. So follow the mock schedule, make sure that you continue to take a lot of mocks, because here of the 40-45 mocks that are needed, about 20 will be taken in these 3 months. 20, no, not even 20, 20, 30 will be taken in this month. So here basically you have to just go crazy on mocks, like one mock every week at least, and one mock plus one sectional if time permits. So I want you to basically give as many mocks from Dashcat, follow the Dashcat schedule. Whenever Dashcat is not there, give previous year paper as mock, give a head start mock, give a free mock, give sectionals, because all of that together will go towards building your exam temperament. In the last 3 months, you have to build that exam stamina, exam temperament, which is also very important. You can know 100 things, but if you crumble under pressure, it will not make any sense. So I want you to work very hard in building the stamina in the last 3 months. So over here, this will focus on practice, but this will really make the big difference. Mocks and sectionals are the most important thing in the last few months. In verbal, again, you have to see the revision videos and start practicing. 2 RCs plus 10 VA questions every single day is mandatory at this point of time, because here I want you to have speed. I want you to focus on getting more speed into your your practice. A lot of people are not able to do 4 RCs plus 8 VA questions, but I know almost every single topper that I interviewed in our toppers meet did 24 out of 24 questions. Most of the time when I say that, okay, quant people, very few people will attempt all 22 questions. In LRDI, very few people will be able to do even 4 sets, forget 5 sets. But 24 out of 24 questions is done by almost everybody. I do it every single time, and I'm a very slow solver. So remember that you have to get a lot of speed over here. In the last 3 months, you have to work on doing RC, but doing it fast, doing it with speed, and maintaining accuracy. When you increase speed, sometimes accuracy suffers, but you have to maintain or increase speed while keeping the accuracy safe. So that is the challenge in the last 3 months. With LRDI, I want you to do 2 sets every single day. And here you have to take more time tests. Okay, you have to take more tests where you're doing LRDI under like 8 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. Okay, that should be the idea with LRDI, because if you are able to solve, that is one thing. If you are able to solve with the timer ticking down, it's a completely different ballgame. So I want you to actually work on becoming resilient to that timer pressure. So this is the month-wise schedule for uh, CAT preparation. On a day-wise, what would your day look like? On a day or a week-wise schedule, what should you do during the weekdays? What should you do on the weekends? So, firstly, I want you to know that on the weekdays, the most important thing for you to do is the batch task. That is basically the concept videos. When I tell you to see the concept video, do it, because without that base, right, it is very difficult for me to teach you further. So, the concept videos and live sessions are the most important part, because they are, if you see this together, this is the learn part. Then you have daily target and articles. Daily target is your daily practice of solving questions. Articles are basically the daily reading habit. Daily target has 1 RC, 1 LRDI, and 5 questions of quant. This will go quite a bit towards getting that the numbers that I had given, right, for practice. This will go a long way. if you are somebody who is decent at RC, this daily target is enough RC practice. If you're weak at RC, you need 2 RCs every single day, right? So apart from the daily target, you have to supplement it with one more RC from the study room. Similarly, if you're weak in quant, these 5 questions are okay if you're decent in quant, but if you're weak in quant, you have to supplement it with additional practice. Go to the quant rush or go to the study room and do few more questions. Okay. Articles are 2 articles every single day. That should be a non-negotiable. You should think that every time I'm eating breakfast or lunch, I should be reading an article. There are articles on our site, are longish articles. Some of them are 3,000 words, 4,000 words. I don't expect you to read all of them, but I expect you to read about the first 1,000 words of each. Okay. So if you have read the first 1,000 words of each article, that is fairly good. Okay. You can stop at that point of time, because again, there are restrictions of how much you can read. If you read the first 100 words, that's fine with me. Coming to your weekend, what should your weekend look like? So starting from the 4th month onwards, I want you to take either a mock or a sectional every single weekend. Whenever the dash cat is there, take the mock. When dash cat is not there, make sure that you finish the head start mocks. Make sure you finish the free mocks. Make sure you finish the previous year's papers as mocks. Also take additional sectionals. Whatever section you are weak in, you have to take a lot of sectionals from that particular topic. The study room, whenever your mock is done, whenever you're doing this analysis, okay, and you figure out that I take too much time for these type of questions, what should you do? Diagnosis is one part, but the other part is cure, right? What is the cure? The cure is practice. The practice from study room is the cure to whatever issues they are identifying in your mock. So after your mock is over, mock itself is 2 hours, analysis is another 1 hour. After that, put in another 2 hours of targeted practice. So over Sundays, I want you to give 5 hours, 2 hours for the mock, 2 hours for the mock, 1 hour for analysis, and another 2 hours for targeted practice. So this is basically what your day will look like. Okay, this together will take 2-3 hours. This daily target is another 45 minutes. This articles is something that you should do while eating, so I will not count it as part of your regular work. So this is around 3 hours or so of work on a day-to-day basis. Mocks and sectionals, this is your entire Sunday. So you take a, like, you can chill on a little bit on Saturday, but Sunday 5 hours should be always given. Every single Sunday, you should not waste a single Sunday. You should remember that Sundays are reserved for cat. Okay, so every Sunday you have to do at least one of these two without fail. So this is basically what your day-to-day schedule will look like. See, I will tell you guys again that we are always there with you. We'll be there with you, making sure that you know how to answer questions, how to attempt questions. But CAT is a lot about individual practice. It is a lot about solving questions. It is a lot about individual drive. Because unless the person is driven to solve the question himself, he will never learn. It is like swimming. Okay. If I carry you into the pool and I tell you how to swim, unless you move your hands and legs, you're not going to move forward. So this has to happen from you, where you have to solve a lot of questions. There is no other way. If in my 12 plus years of teaching CAT, if I had found any other shortcut or a hack to cracking CAT, there is none. It's all about solving as many questions as possible. You will always hear stories about people who crack CAT in like 15 days or something like that. But that is because they started from a high point already. They had put in that initial work during their JE preparation days, which is why they already started from a very advanced point. They already had a reading habit, so they already knew how to read articles. But if you're not starting from that point at the near top, if you're starting from the base of the mountain, you have to put in the hard work every single day. Then you will reach the top of the mountain. We will be there with you every step of the way. So please take a look at our 300-day batch. We will make sure that every single day will count towards your ascent to the top, that you get to 99.99 percentile. So do check out Kraku's 300-day batch. It starts on 2nd February. And if you have any questions, please feel free. We have given the description and we have put all the numbers in the description box. So if you have any further questions, feel free to ask, see the description box and reach out to us. Or you can just comment on the video, because we also answer every doubt, everything that is asked on the videos again. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I hope to see all of you guys crack CAT.